Tony Romo apparently will have shoulder surgery as early as next week. Clarence Hill from the Star-Telegram here to discuss Tony and the draft and more. Romo likely will have a plate inserted in the problematic clavicle area. We'll get to the draft in a minute, but Jerry thinks Romo can play another 4 or 5 years. Do you think even Tony believes that?
No, I don't think anyone believes that. That's just Jerry hyperbole. Last year he said 4 or 5 years. The year before he said 4 or 5 years. I think he just has 4 or 5 years stuck in his mind. Certainly, from a contract standpoint, the Cowboys need Romo to play at least 2 years before it's palatable for them to move away from Tony Romo. So think 2 years. But again, they're focused on Romo playing next year. You know, there's been a lot of talk. I don't know why there's so much cloak and dagger about this shoulder surgery. But talking to the Cowboys doctors, it's a normal surgery. Emmitt Smith had a similar type of surgery in 1993. It did not affect him. He's a running back running through the holes. It did not affect him. And after that big Giants game in 1993, he had a similar type of surgery. It didn't affect him the rest of his career. It's not a big deal, only because it's Tony Romo was why this, you know, it seemed like it's a big deal for the Cowboys, but they think he'll be ready to go next year.
Well, the number 4 pick in the draft is a big deal, and the big question is whether they'll take a quarterback. Wentz, Goff, possibly. I don't think they should, and I don't think they will. What do you think Jerry's going to do?
Well, it doesn't appear they're going to take a quarterback. Certainly, Jerry talked to us at the Combine last week, and he said, you know, we're going to do everything we can with this draft, thinking about Tony Romo being with us for 4 or 5 years. That means they're not going to take a quarterback. They're going to do whatever it takes for the Cowboys to win while they still have Tony Romo. That means taking an impact defensive player, impact running back, or somebody like that. They will take a quarterback at some point in this draft. I don't think it'll be at 4.
Yeah, I think they get the best of both worlds. You could get Joey Bosa at 4, whom I think that is the guy they want at this point. And you might, as you said, still be able to get a quarterback of the future in the second round, since you're picking up high there too.
Yeah, and they like a guy like Dak Prescott from Mississippi State. Is a guy they saw at the Senior Bowl. They certainly did interviews with him at the Combine, and he's moving up the draft boards. A lot of people like him. Some people see him as a second or third round prospect.
What do you make of Dez Bryant's offseason, recovering from yet another surgery?
Well, you know, they need Dez to be healthy. You know, talking to Jerry Jones, you know, they want Dez to have a strong offseason so he can be ready to go next year. You know, her dirty little secret last year when he was holding out during that contract holdout was him missing the offseason. Dez needs to practice. And that impacted him in training camp, and certainly that played a role in him being injured in the season open, at least from Jerry Jones' point of view. For him to be ready to go next year and be back to being that Pro Bowl type player, he needs to have a full offseason. He had the surgery. They think he's going to be ready to go with OTAs in May.
Arian Foster gone from the Texans. Any interest there from a Cowboys standpoint, you think?
Injury plagued aging running back. I don't think the Cowboys need to touch him.
Already got one of those, right?
Already got one of those.
Who came back very well for them
certainly did,
year.
but they will look at a running back in the draft, but I don't think they're going to go for an injury-plagued veteran like Arian Foster.
Clarence Hill covers the Cowboys for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and we appreciate him coming in as always. Thanks.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm Mike Ducey, Fox 4 Sports.